Welcome to our deep dives. Today we're exploring Zen Buddhism. I think most people are familiar with that traditional image of Zen.
Meditation, temple.
Yeah, like a certain kind of austerity.
Right.
But today we're going to go beyond that. We're looking at a much more vibrant, a surprisingly accessible take on Zen. We're taking you to Kamakura in Japan, home to this really unique event called Zen2.0, where tradition meets innovation.
And it does it in some pretty unexpected ways.
It really is fascinating to see how they take the essence of Zen and make it relevant for us today. I mean, they incorporate things you really wouldn't think about with traditional Zen, like,
Kind of things.
well, like chocolate tasting,
Okay.
or even discussions with Christian nuns.
Oh, wow. Okay. Now that you've piqued my curiosity, chocolate and Zen, what's the connection?
One of the things that Zen 2.0 tries to do is really break down these barriers people have about Zen. That it's intimidating.
And show how Zen can be practical and an enjoyable part of life for anyone. They have this practice called chokozaisen, which is basically chocolate meditation.
So do you, meditate with a giant chocolate bar in your hand?
Not quite. The participants are given a piece of dark chocolate.
Okay.
And then they engage in zazen, which is seated meditation, that's very central to Zen, for about 20 minutes. And then afterward, they savor another piece of chocolate.
Okay.
And the whole idea is to notice how the meditation changed your perception of how the chocolate tastes.
So it's using the simple pleasure of chocolate
Right.
to sort of highlight how mindfulness can really shift your everyday experience.
Exactly.
That's really clever.
Yeah.
What else makes this Zen 2.0 unique?
Well, it's really about making Zen an experience, not just a philosophy. Like, they have immersive dance performances to explore spiritual concepts.
Wow.
And that makes it a lot more engaging for people who maybe don't connect with traditional meditation. What's really remarkable is how inclusive the event is. It welcomes people from any background, regardless of faith, which really challenges the notion that Zen is exclusive or esoteric.
So it's almost like they're saying Zen is for everyone.
Yeah.
But why Kamakura? What makes it the right setting for this event?
Kamakura isn't just a pretty city on the coast.
Yeah.
It's known for its spiritual energy. It's got over 100 temples.
Oh, wow.
And it has a long history as a center of Zen Buddhism in Japan. So that kind of atmosphere of serenity and contemplation really lends itself to an event like Zen 2.0.
So the place itself is part of that mindful experience.
Oh, absolutely. The city actually has this concept of mindful city Kamakura, which emphasizes well-being, sustainability, and a sense of community.
Wow.
It's really about integrating mindfulness into the fabric of city life. And they do that through initiatives that promote things like social connection, being aware of the environment, and personal growth.
So what kinds of initiatives are they putting in place to achieve that?
Well, they have programs that encourage mindful walking, through the city's beautiful landscapes and workshops on how to live sustainably, and events that help people connect with their community.
So it seems like they're trying to create a culture of awareness, both of ourselves and how we relate to the world around us.
Exactly. Kouji, he's the co-founder of Zen 2.0.
Okay.
He envisions Kamakura as a hub for mindful living, a place that attracts people who value inner peace and who want to contribute to a more compassionate and sustainable world.
It makes me think about the idea of ikigai, which is often translated as our reason for being or our purpose in life.
Right.
Is there a connection between this Zen 2.0 and finding our ikigai?
Oh, absolutely. Zen 2.0 really emphasizes helping people discover their ikigai, especially with the world changing so quickly.
So how do they do that?
Well, they offer workshops and discussions that encourage you to look inward, to explore your own values and passions, and how they can be used to make a positive impact on the world.
It's fascinating how Zen 2.0 is weaving these ancient practices into a way to navigate modern life.
Yeah, and what's even more fascinating is this movement's expanding beyond Japan. There's a surprising connection between Kamakura and Bhutan, a country famous for its focus on gross national happiness.
Really? A connection between a Zen-inspired event in Japan and this Himalayan kingdom that's focused on happiness.
Yeah.
Now, this is where it gets interesting.
It's interesting you mentioned ikigai, because there's a fascinating story about how Kamakura's mindful city concept inspired a whole other country, Bhutan. About 5 years ago, a Bhutanese parliamentarian actually visited Kamakura to learn about their initiative. You see, Bhutan was already known for really emphasizing gross national happiness, but they were curious about how Kamakura was incorporating mindfulness into city planning and community development.
So they saw Kamakura as like a model for how to prioritize well-being in society.
Yeah, exactly. The parliamentarian was really impressed with how Kamakura was preserving their natural beauty, encouraging those sustainable practices,
Yeah.
and fostering a sense of community. They saw a lot of similarities with Bhutan's values and were really eager to learn from Kamakura.
That's such a cool example of cultures learning from each other. It really shows that
Yeah.
well-being is becoming a global priority.
It really does.
But before we jump into Bhutan,
Yeah.
let's go back to Kouji Temple for a second.
Okay.
You mentioned earlier it played a big role in the history of Zen Buddhism in Japan.
Oh, absolutely. Kenshoji Temple is a really important place in the Zen world.
Mm-hmm.
It was founded in the late 13th century,
Wow.
and it was actually Japan's very first Zen training center.
So for centuries, monks have been practicing and studying there.
Exactly. It's like a living embodiment of Zen tradition.
Wow.
You can really feel that sense of history when you're at the temple.
What's it like being there at Kenshoji Temple?
Well, there's this palpable sense of serenity, of stillness. The architecture is very simple,
Yeah.
but it's elegant, and they have beautiful gardens that are just designed for contemplation.
Wow, I can imagine.
And as you're walking through the temple complex,
Yeah.
you can almost feel the presence of all the people who have walked that same path before you. It's really a powerful reminder that Zen isn't just some ideas, it's a living tradition that's been passed down over generations.
I think it's so fitting that a modern event like Zen 2.0 would be held at a place with so much history.
Yeah.
It's like you said, tradition and innovation.
Exactly. Holding Zen 2.0 at Kenshoji is a way of honoring the past while also looking toward the future. It's like a reminder that Zen is alive. It's not stuck in the past.
Right.
It's constantly evolving and adapting.
So we've talked about chocolate meditation and the immersive dance. What other creative approaches does Zen 2.0 use to make Zen more accessible?
Well, they try to incorporate mindfulness into everyday things. So, for example, they have workshops on calligraphy where you learn to focus your attention on each stroke you make with the brush.
Okay.
And then there's the tea ceremony. That's another practice that encourages mindfulness, from the movements you make when you're preparing the tea to just the quiet appreciation of every sip.
It seems like they're showing that Zen is more than just sitting on a cushion and meditating.
Right. It's about bringing that awareness to everything you do in life. It's about finding peace and being present in the moment, even when you're doing your everyday routine.
And it's not just individual practice either, right? Zen 2.0 also seems to emphasize community.
It does. They have group discussions, activities to encourage people to connect with each other and share their experiences.
It seems like that sense of community is really important, especially now when it feels like the world is so disconnected.
I agree. Zen 2.0 really tries to provide that space for people to come together, to support each other, and explore these practices in a way that makes everyone feel welcome.
It sounds like they're creating this holistic experience, blending the individual practice with this community connection, and even using the unique setting of Kamakura.
Yeah, and that's what makes Zen 2.0 so unique. You're not just learning about Zen, you're experiencing it.
It's like they're creating a mini mindful city within the event itself.
That's a great way to put it. They're demonstrating that mindfulness isn't just an idea.
Right.
It's something you can live out, both by yourself and with other people.
And this isn't just limited to Kamakura either.
Right.
We were talking about Bhutan earlier. It's incredible that a Zen event in Japan could reach all the way to the Himalayas.
It really is. The fact that Kamakura and Bhutan are exchanging ideas shows how important mindfulness and well-being are becoming all over the world. Let's explore that connection a little more.
Yeah, okay. So we were talking about Kamakura and Bhutan. What was it about Kamakura's Mindful City initiative that really stood out to that Bhutanese parliamentarian?
Well, it was a bunch of different things, actually. They were really impressed with how Kamakura was weaving mindfulness into, the city's design itself, promoting walking and cycling and preserving those green spaces, encouraging people to live more sustainably. It was all about creating an environment that supports well-being.
So it wasn't just about individuals meditating, but like a citywide approach to well-being.
Exactly. The parliamentarian really saw how Kamakura was incorporating these principles into so many things, like their transportation systems, their community events.
Wow.
They were especially inspired by the city's efforts to preserve its cultural heritage because they realized that a sense of history and tradition can give people a feeling of belonging.
It's amazing to think that something as simple as walking through a temple garden or having a cup of tea in a tea ceremony Could have such a big impact on how we feel.
I know, it's those little things that we often forget about in our busy lives,
Right.
and Zen 2.0 is really bringing those back into focus, reminding us to slow down, connect with ourselves, connect with our surroundings,
Mm-hmm.
and just find that joy in the moment.
This has been such an interesting deep dive. We've gone from, like, chocolate meditation in a 700-year-old temple to talking about mindfulness and city planning and government policies. It's incredible to see how these ideas are spreading around the world.
I know, it shows how much people are starting to understand that well-being isn't just a personal thing. It's something we need to work towards together.
Right.
So as individuals, we can practice mindfulness by meditating and living in a more mindful way, but we need to create environments that support that, in our communities, in our society.
It's like you said before, that ripple effect.
Mm-hmm.
Zen 2.0 is part of this bigger movement towards a more mindful and compassionate world.
Exactly. Everyone who practices these things becomes a part of that change.
Yeah.
It's really about realizing that what's happening inside us has an effect on the world around us. The more peace and compassion we have in ourselves, the more we can share that with others.
That brings us to the core of what we've been talking about. If Zen is about finding that peace within, how can we, let that peace spread out and make a positive difference in the world?
That's a really great question, and honestly, it's something we each have to figure out for ourselves. Maybe it starts with just doing something kind for someone, or speaking more thoughtfully, or maybe choosing to face challenges with a calm mind. It's about bringing that mindfulness we practice when we're meditating into everything we do.
This deep dive has given us a lot to think about. If you're interested in learning more, we encourage you to look up Zen 2.0 online.
Yeah.
Maybe someday you'll even get to visit Kamakura and experience it all firsthand.
It's a really special place.
Well, that's all the time we have for today. Until next time, may you find that peace within and spread kindness wherever you go.
And may your journey be filled with purpose and meaning.